Hey guys, it's Matt here, and today we're doing another episode of Keikaku Korner. So, who is we? Is Tristan Walter back with us? Well, no, still mining for dinosaur bones on the moon, such is Tristan Walter. That is his life. But what we do have, though, is we have some other people coming on later on during the show for some other stories, like we did last time. And also, if you're wondering why this episode is so close to the last episode, it's like, is it Christmas? Or if you don't like these, is it hell? It's neither, actually. It's the fact that there were some release issues last time, just encoding time, things like that, computer space, hard drive stuff, stuff, right? So due to all that, they were delayed a little bit, and that's why this one, and also there's some great news to talk about as well that I thought was a bit more pertinent, that we should talk about it a bit more, a bit sooner rather than later. We're not going to go to a weekly format. We're going to still do 2 podcasts a month. But yeah, I did want to talk about some of these news articles. Now you might be thinking, well, what are we talking about in this episode of Keikaku Corner? Well, a lot of things. So we're talking about the Dark Phoenix trailer. We're also talking about some interesting licensing news with Funimation, Right Stuff Kickstarter that I will definitely love to talk about that. Toonami expanding to Toonami eventually will just become Cartoon Network eventually. Also, we're talking about some Kingdom Hearts stuff. Will Kingdom Hearts be the last 3, rather? Will Kingdom Hearts 3 be the last Kingdom Hearts? I don't know, apparently. And some Dragon Ball Fighter Z stuff, as well. Oh, some Phoenix Wright stuff. I'm remembering as I'm looking through my notes. And, yeah, some other fun stuff as well, like Bowsette. Yeah, Bowsette, we're going to talk about that. Also PS1 classic stuff, and some fun Pokemans stuff, some Pokemon Go stuff. So all of that will be happening throughout this podcast, but the first thing we're going to talk about is that Dark Phoenix trailer. So, that Dark Phoenix trailer. Now, do I hate the Dark Phoenix trailer? Not necessarily. Do I think it will be better than X-Men The Last Stand? Man, just from a trailer alone, I'm going to go with yes. I'm just going to go with yes right off the bat. I think the problem with this movie, though, and maybe it's me, right? Maybe it's me not wanting to, realize that I'm old. But the thing is that I'm only 26, and we've gotten Dark Phoenix adapted twice. And even though the last one, I'm not saying it was good, but it seems like it was close. Like, it hasn't been long enough to adapt Dark Phoenix again. Now, I'm actually going to check right now, hey, maybe I'm the crazy one here. Maybe it has, been a lot longer than I think, or than I thought, but I could swear that X-Men The Last Stand did not come out that long ago. Also, another thing as well is, even though I didn't like Last Stand, and I think I don't need to say why. I'll say why here and there throughout this Dark Phoenix trailer discussion. But still, I think you guys probably share some of my sentiments with, The Last Stand. However, there was something about the dynamic, and I am happy that we're going to have a bit more with Scott and Jean instead of having it just be the Wolverine show. But I do think that it's because we connected with those characters throughout all 3 movies that meant a lot. Now, Scott's death wasn't fun, but the fact that we connected with these characters. Now, I'm not going to say that I haven't connected with McAvoy as Professor X, or with, oh no, I've forgotten his name. I really like him, though, as Magneto. But the point, though, is that even though I've connected with them, I haven't been able to connect with, I think her name is Saoirse Ronan? Is that her? I'll be checking that in a second. But as Jean, because of the fact that we just met her in Apocalypse. So for me, it feels like we just met her. Now, I know that, it's a character that I've known for a long time. All of us have. We've been reading comics, or if we've been watching these movies and, seeing animated shows and everything. But when you have a new person take on the mantle of a character, you want to get to know them as the character. Not everything that the character has done in the comics immediately transfers over to the movies. We know that from watching the MCU. We definitely know that from watching some stuff in the DC universe. And seeing all these different adaptations throughout multiple different forms of media, be they animated or live action. And would like to mention The Last Stand came out in 2006. So I think, really, it's been 12 years. I should probably stop talking in that regard. Like, it's too soon. So the too soon thing, all right, taken off the table. It actually has been 12 years. Wow. Technically longer because this movie is coming out, according to the trailer, February 14th. So that'll actually be in 2019. So almost 13 years. Okay. All right. So you know what? It hasn't been too long. That's fair. Or it has been too long, rather. It's not, it hasn't been 10 years like I thought it was. Jeez, it's been 12 to 13, it's been a while. So, okay, 12 to 13 years, fair. But when it comes to getting to know this character, getting to know this version of Jean, I don't have any problem with the actress at all. I do think it is hard though because she is trying to do she's trying to do an American accent. And I do think that can hurt some actors when they're trying to really emote and really show kind of like a full range of emotion. But even if she was the best actress in the world, in the galaxy, which I gotta say, she's great on Game of Thrones from what I've seen, and I've heard amazing things about her on Game of Thrones. But the thing is, though, is that, again, I need to connect with her as this character. I've only seen her once, and it's a bit hard to do that when we're only looking at movies. If this was a TV show, and that's kind of why it mattered so much in the comics, because if you were following comics for that long, you would follow this character for years. I mean, sure, she didn't really age necessarily the same way, sliding timelines, all that stuff. I'm sure she aged in the comics, but you know how comics are. We all know how comics are. Sliding timelines, all that stuff. But still, you still felt something for the character because you were there along that, you were there with her, taking a ride with her and a ride with the others and going on a kind of journey, So looking at, I want to see here, what this actress's name is, though, because I just want to. I feel like I keep on, because I could swear I had it on the tip of my tongue before we began, and now all of a sudden it's just whoosh, just out of my head completely. Sophie Turner. Wow, that is not who I was thinking of. Saoirse Ronan. She was on SNL. And she's also been in some other stuff as well. So, no, Sophie Turner is the one I'm thinking of. But I'm sure, though, that so she is on Game of Thrones. So I was right about that part. But still, my point still stands, even with the name thing. I do feel as if we haven't really connected with her the same way that we have with the actors and actresses who've played Beast and Mystique and, Michael Fassbender as Magneto. Okay, that's another one I got. So we've been able to connect with the characters. I mean, even with this version of Cyclops, Ty Sheridan, not a bad Cyclops. I'm not saying he's a terrible Cyclops. It's just, I've only seen him in the last film. And, the whole this is the end thing in the trailer, I know it's supposed to signify, like, the end of the world. But at the same time, because this is, if you want to take out Days of Future Past, even though it was a big part of this franchise, if you want to take that out and say that even though there was a lot of growth for the characters, I would say. This new version of the characters, there was a lot of growth there. But the reason why I'm trying to get at here is, it felt like there was going to be if you want to consider it like a sequel, right? Unless you want to consider First Class an origin, if you will, quote unquote. But if you want to, actually, you could do that. If you want to consider First Class an origin, and then the trilogy afterwards is Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and now the Dark Phoenix saga. What? Is it, like, I don't know, like, would you have McAvoy playing this character long enough, right, playing Xavier long enough to end up having him be as old as Sir Patrick Stewart? Like, what do we, because the thing is, with the reboot and everything that happened, the soft reboot or hard reboot, if you want to consider it, the reboot with not Days of Future Past, with First Class, I don't know if they ever thought there was an end goal, and if their end goal was, oh, we'll do Dark Phoenix again, that's great. But the thing is, and this is going to sound, I don't know, maybe some of you guys disagree with me, tell me what you think in the comment section down below, but when you show Days of Future Past, first of all, I thought it would have been the best ending. Not just a way as a kind of wrap-up to the heroes that we knew when we saw the original X-Men trilogy, but it also felt like a great wrap-up to everyone in general. But I'm not saying that there was anything wrong with continuing it. It's just that Apocalypse did not perform, to me. I don't know about box office numbers, but to me, it didn't do as well as Days of Future Past, or even First Class, I would argue. So, is this really the end? Like, is Dark Phoenix a great way to end a trilogy? I mean, it was the way we ended, the X-Men original trilogy, but I would argue it also ended due to everyone being upset by it. Like, I mean, yes, the actors may not have wanted to come back, but I also am pretty sure that audience backlash potentially lent to them going, yeah, people like that Wolverine guy. Let's do more of this Wolverine guy. And yeah, so that's just my take on that, though. But when it comes to when it comes to these characters, I don't know. I just want to feel a connection. I really do. But it doesn't seem there. Also, another thing as well is, speaking of the characters getting older and stuff like that, this isn't the actor's fault, but this does happen. I don't want to say a lot, but I have seen it happen in media before. It happened in Doctor Who when they jumped between Amy Pond getting a bit older. And my problem with that, in particular, not that she got older, it's fine, people age, especially with Doctor Who with time travel, and in this case, them doing every 10 years, going every 10 years with these, with these characters, I think it's an amazing concept. It's a lot of fun, to see First Class in the 60s, Days of Future Past in the 70s, in the 80s we end up getting Apocalypse, and now we have Dark Phoenix in the 90s. I think that's cool. My problem, though, is that these characters, even though it has been years since First Class, I believe it's actually been 7 years since First Class. Let me actually check that right now. But even though it's been years, right, it hasn't been long enough that some of these characters, to me, look like they've aged, what, 30? Yeah, 30 years. I don't know, like, just because James McAvoy loses his hair, to me, does not make him seem like he's 10 years away from being freaking Patrick Stewart. Like, Fassbender to me does not look like he's 10 years away. And I know 10 years is a long time, guys, but he doesn't look like he's 10 years away from becoming Ian McKellen in the first X-Men movie. And I'm not, look, you can say that it's nitpicking, you can say, anything you want to about that. I'm not even going to say that I disagree necessarily. By the way, 7 years since First Class. So I'm not going to say that you're wrong, okay, if you say that I'm nitpicking, but it just doesn't seem like they've aged. And when it comes to someone like, when it comes to Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique, well, that's fine, right? She can look any age, really, because she's Mystique. So I don't really care about how she looks as Mystique. And Hugh Jackman is such an interesting man. I feel like he just, I know when you look at side by side the first X-Men movie and, like, other films that he's in, even something like the Wolverine, you can tell, okay, he's older. But still, he does not look like he's aged since the mid to late 90s. Like, yes, you can tell side by side, but, like, if you don't have that side by side, you're like, oh damn, Hugh Jackman, you don't change. But when it comes to the rest of these actors, I don't know. I just don't feel as if, like, looking at, even though Sophie Turner is in her 20s, she is in her 20s, but when she played Jean in the last film, in Apocalypse, she was supposed to be a teenager. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It doesn't look like she aged 10 years. Now, maybe if it's only like 5 years, but it is the 90s, but it's only 5 years, okay, fair. But she looks super duper young. Like, I want to see right now how old she is. Again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy here. But she looks really, really young. Yeah, she's only 22 years old, which, in a lot of movies, TV shows, stuff like that, young 20-somethings will play, teenagers like in Glee and a bunch of other films. So her playing this character in Apocalypse 2 years ago, Jean, and then being 20 and being considered a teenager then, let's say she was 17. I don't know, 27, I don't, maybe it's just me. Maybe, again, I keep on saying it over and over, but yeah, maybe it is just me. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. But getting back on track with the actual trailer, I don't despise it. I don't think it's terrible. I just wonder if it truly is the end, because you do wonder if it's the end, and I don't even know if this is, I don't know if this is the end that I'd want. I'll say that much, because I feel as if they're passing the mantle on to some of these newer characters, and that's great, but that is frustrating because now that's going to be the end. Like, the end of all of this is going to be those characters that you've, these actors as these characters that you've only seen for 2 movies are now going to take the mantle, but we're never going to do another movie again. Now, why do I say never again? 2 reasons. One, if this was the end from the get-go, and this was the plan from the get-go, crap, right? Then it was never going to be, no matter what, it was going to be the end of the X-Men as we know it, live-action-wise, until some other reboot in 2-3 years from now. Or because of the fact that Disney is seemingly acquiring Fox and their movie division, now we might have not only, like, we might have a situation where they just want Wolverine back, and they throw a bunch of money at Hugh Jackman to the point where he is literally drowning in money. Will Hugh Jackman come back? I think he might not. I don't even think he's going to be in this movie. I really believe that he's hung up the claws. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think he's hung up the claws, and I don't think there's really space for him in this movie, because clearly in this universe, he's not into Jean, although it's really fucking weird, because when he went back to the future, he was into Jean. Now, granted, he didn't know what was going on, so he remembered, you know, the previous future. But I don't know. Like, that whole movie was fun, but it would have been a great end, but now you have to make me think about all that stuff that I truly don't believe is nitpicking at this point. So, I don't know. Like, because not only is... It's funny. Not only now is every character in the X-Men that we remember, or at least that Wolverine remembers, not only did they meet everyone earlier, but now they're, like, what, older? Are they? Because I don't think... Because I thought Jean, when Logan met her in the first movie, I thought she was in her 20s. I didn't think that she would be in her 30s, nearing her 40s. Well, technically not her 40s, of course, because they didn't meet in the 2000s. But still, I don't know, guys. Maybe, again, you can call me nitpicking all you want. Am I going to see this movie? That's, I'm sure, what you all want to hear. Am I, because you clearly care about my opinion for some reason. Am I going to see this movie? Yeah. No, I am. Totally. Like, don't think that my criticism is necessarily on the movie itself, or even on the plot itself. Because, again, we just know that it is the end, and Jean's telekinetic powers has her making things go explodey. I do think that Jessica Chastain will be a manifestation of the Phoenix in human form. They're saying that she's a mentor, quote-unquote, but I don't think she's going to be a mutant. I think she's just going to be a, you know, physical manifestation of the Phoenix. And I really don't know, I mean, I don't know where else they're going to go with this, because we don't really see much from this. It's not a teaser. It is a trailer, to be fair, but I don't know. Oh, it does seem like Quicksilver, by the way, actually has calmed down, which I hope, which is sad, because I liked him when he was quipping. Maybe, I assume this is going to be the movie where they're going to have Quicksilver tell Magneto, by the way, you my dad. And I don't know if there's going to be any, because the thing too, and that's also a problem as well, this was a problem for me with Apocalypse, because we know how Days of Future Past ended, with everyone growing into the characters that we know and love. I feel like, when I look at this movie, I feel the same way that I did when I saw the trailers and actually saw Han Solo's solo film, the prequel. Because of the fact, even though I enjoyed the solo film, actually, Tristan Walter and I talked about that in a podcast previously, I enjoyed it, I really did, but it felt like there was less tension because I knew that they were going to get out of this okay. So in this case, when I look at these characters, I'm like, Beast survives, Nightcrawler survives, Storm survives, Mystique survives, Charles survives, Magneto survives, Quicksilver could die. Actually, he's like the one. I'm like, you know, actually, it's like Quicksilver could die. But other than him, it seems as if, and of course it's funny, and Jean will die. But wait a minute, but Jean has to grow into, he met her when she was older. So yeah, my brain is just broken. I know it might seem like I'm a broken record, getting back to all that, but it's just, there is a lack of tension. Do I want to see it? Like I said earlier, yes. Yes, I do. So I will be. And I'll be seeing it on Valentine's Day. That's kind of sad. Not that I'll be seeing it on Valentine's Day, but it's getting released on Valentine's Day. Like, go take your girlfriend to see this woman get murdered. Because Jean's gonna die, I'm assuming. I'm assuming Jean's not going to live through this. Which, again, is also sad because I'd want to see more of Sophie Turner as Jean. So, either way, rant aside, I don't think it's a bad trailer. I don't think it's going to be a bad movie. I definitely think it's going to be better than The Last Stand. But there are problems. And there are problems that the film can't necessarily, you know, address in any way. I just hope that this isn't the last hurrah because I don't know. Just from the trailer alone, it doesn't seem big enough to seem like the last hurrah and the end of everything as we know it from this brand new universe that was created only, I say only 7 years ago, as if that wasn't a long time, but still, I don't know. It seems like this universe was created yesterday, maybe because of the fact that I just recently caught up on most of these X-Men films. Because I saw the original 3 when I was younger, and I saw Origins as well. But then when I saw First Class, I never saw another movie after that until I started up again literally a week or so ago, watching not only First Class, but I saw Wolverine, I saw, Apocalypse, Days of Future Past, I ended up seeing Logan. Oh God, Logan, that was sad. Saw Logan as well, and so after seeing Apocalypse, it didn't really leave me hyped or interested in this movie. And then now, of course it's confirmed that it's Dark Phoenix. I don't know. I don't know, guys. Tell me if there's something wrong with me in the comment section down below. I really want to hear what you guys have to think. I want you guys, if you guys are hyped, help me be hyped. I actually want to be hyped for this. So help me be hyped, because I don't know if this is going to be big enough to make me go, this universe, this trilogy, all this stuff has been successfully concluded. Let's move on. I don't know.